On the 4th of December 1872, in the vast Atlantic Ocean, where waves can swallow an entire ship without leaving a trace, a merchant vessel was discovered drifting. Its sails were still set, the rigging was still taut in the wind, and the ship was still gliding slowly across the sea, as if it were continuing its voyage. The cargo was still intact, food supplies were sufficient for many months. Clothing and personal belongings were still in their proper places, but the entire crew had vanished. There were no signs of a struggle, no bodies, no signs of panic, only a ship and the absolute silence of the ocean. That ship was named Mary Celeste. And to this day, more than a century and a half later, it remains one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. What happened to the 10 people aboard this vessel? The Mary Celeste was a two-masted merchant ship about 30 meters long, not particularly large but strong enough to cross the Atlantic. In November 1872, the ship departed from New York City bound for Genoa, Italy. The ship's captain was Benjamin Briggs. He was an experienced captain, a man who had spent many years at sea, known for being cautious and trustworthy. Friends and colleagues all described him as so careful that he almost never made reckless decisions. Also on board were his wife Sarah Briggs and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. Along with them were 7 sailors, making a total of 10 people, a small family, and a skilled crew. The cargo consisted of 171 barrels of industrial alcohol. It was an ordinary commercial voyage, with no signs of danger, no major storms recorded, and no warnings from the port. Everything seemed to be just another routine journey across the ocean. But only a few weeks after leaving port, this ship became a haunted legend of the sea. On the 4th of December, 1872, the ship Dei Gratia was passing through waters near the Azores Islands. A sailor standing on deck spotted a ship in the distance. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about it. But as the ship came closer, they realized something was wrong. The other vessel was moving very strangely. It drifted aimlessly with its sails still open, yet no one was steering the helm. There was no one on deck, no signal, no response. The captain of the Dei Gratia began to feel uneasy. He decided to send a group of sailors aboard to investigate. When they stepped onto the deck, they recognized the name painted on the hull, Mary Celeste. But what they found aboard sent a chill down their spines. Almost everything was intact. The cargo still filled the hold. The crew's personal belongings were still there. Clothes still hung in the cabins. Dishes were still on the dining table. There was enough food and water for 6 months. There were no signs of pirates, no signs of fighting, no blood, no weapons drawn, no evidence of chaos whatsoever. But there was not a single person on board. All 10 people had disappeared, as if they had evaporated from the world. One detail immediately caught the attention of the sailors from the Dei Gratia. The ship's only lifeboat was missing. That suggested the crew had not been suddenly abducted. They had left the ship deliberately. But the great question was why? Why would an experienced captain like Benjamin Briggs order the abandonment of a ship that was still completely seaworthy? In the captain's cabin, they found the ship's logbook. The final entry was dated the 25th of October, 1872, 10 days before the ship was discovered. According to the record, the vessel was then near Santa Maria Island in the Azores. But when it was found, the Mary Celeste had drifted hundreds of miles from that location. No one knows what happened during those 10 missing days. Not a single log entry, not a single message. No distress signal, just a void, a frightening void in history. 3 important items had also disappeared along with the crew: the sextant, the chronometer, and the ship's papers. These are items that are always taken when abandoning a ship in an emergency. This suggests that the decision to leave the vessel appeared organized rather than completely panicked. But if they had boarded the lifeboat, where did that boat go, and why was it never found? The theory supported by many researchers concerns the ship's cargo, the 171 barrels of industrial alcohol. Some barrels were believed to have been leaking. Alcohol vapors could accumulate in the hold, and if ignited by a spark, could cause a terrible explosion. One theory suggests that Captain Benjamin Briggs feared the ship was about to explode. He ordered everyone into the lifeboat temporarily. The plan may have been to tie the lifeboat to the ship with a rope, wait for the alcohol vapors to dissipate, and then return. But the ocean is never that simple. All it takes is one large wave or one rope snapping, and the small lifeboat would immediately be separated from the ship. In the vast Atlantic Ocean, losing sight of a 30-meter long vessel can happen within minutes. If that happened, then the moment the rope broke may have been the last time the crew ever saw the Mary Celeste. Another theory suggests that the crew encountered an extreme natural phenomenon, such as a waterspout, a rogue wave, or even an undersea earthquake. Such phenomena could have caused the ship to shake violently. In that moment, the crew may have believed the ship was about to sink, and in panic, abandoned it too soon. But afterward, the ship continued drifting while they vanished forever. Some people once believed that the crew had been attacked by pirates, but this theory has a major problem. If pirates were responsible, they would have taken the cargo, or at least the valuables. But aboard the Mary Celeste, everything remained untouched. Not a single barrel of alcohol was taken, no money was stolen, and there were no signs of looting. This makes the pirate theory almost completely dismissed. After being found, the Mary Celeste was brought into the port of Gibraltar for investigation. A major inquiry was launched. The captain of the Dei Gratia was questioned. The crew was interrogated for hours. Experts examined every cabin, every cargo barrel, every scratch on the ship. But in the end, no one could determine exactly what had happened. No bodies, no witnesses, no message, no explanation. Only a ship drifting silently across the ocean, and 10 people who had vanished from the world. More than 150 years later, the mystery of the Mary Celeste continues to fascinate researchers and lovers of maritime history. Was it merely an accident, a wrong decision made at sea, or has the ocean concealed another story, a story that humanity has never uncovered? Because sometimes the most frightening mysteries of the ocean are not the ships that sink, but the ships that remain intact, while every person aboard them has disappeared.